Is the world better off today or not? From me, I think that world is better today than before. One of the reasons is the technology now compared before. Evolution of technology is beneficial to humans for several reasons. At the medical level, technology can help treat more sick people and consequently save many lives and combat very harmful viruses and bacteria. The invention of the computer was very important point. Communication is thus enhanced and companies can communicate more easily with foreign countries. Technology has also increased the productivity of almost every industry in the world. Explain the two sides of globalization, the advantages and disadvantages. Advantages. Globalization creates jobs. Economic liberalization has made it easier for companies to regulate, allowing them to rapidly scale up and create new jobs. Globalization has lowered prices. The free movement of goods and people have brought overhead down and allowed companies to sell products more cheaply. Globalization has improved access to technology. In a hyper-connected world, new technologies spread faster between markets. Globalization promotes peace. The deeper the economic ties between nations, the greater the incentive to avoid conflict. Globalization improves productive productivity. Globalization improves domestic productivity by expanding knowledge, allowing foreign impacts increases com- competitions, which force in- innovation in order to companies to stay in demand. Disadvantages. Globali- Globalization fuels inequality. Globalization makes rich richer and the poor poorer. Globalization leads to reduced public revenues. The free movement of labor allows companies to easier locate to tax havens. Globalization leaves versus vulnerable to infectious diseases. In a hyper-connected world, infectious diseases can spread more rapidly, increasing the likelihood of an international pandemic. Globalization destroys the environment. Globalization introduces an economic model that is incompatible with environmental protection. Explain the globalization gap. Globalization gap means inequality between nations of the global north or developed nations and the nations of the global south or developing nations. Describe what happened during the Industrial Revolution. Give at least 5 developments that still prove valuable in today's world. The Industrial Revolution began in the 18th century when agricultural scientists became more industrialized and urban. The conventional railroad and cotton gin, electricity, and other inventions permanently changed society. The main features involved in the Industrial Revolution were technological, socio-economic, and cultural. The changes included the following: 1. The use of new basic materials, chiefly iron and steel. Second, develops in transportation and communication, including the automobile, airplane, telegraph, and radio. Third, agricultural improvements that made possible the provision of food for a longer non larger non-agricultural population. Fourth, economic changes that resulted in a wider distribution of wealth and decline of land as source of wealth in the face of rising industrial production and increased international trade. Fifth, political changes reflecting the shift in economic power, as well as new state policies corresponding to the needs of an industrialized society. Why is discrepancy between the rich and poor becoming wider and wider? Discrepancy between the rich and poor nowadays is becoming wider and wider. I think that main reason for the inequality is lack of quality education. Many poorer people are deprived of higher education or work skill. They will not be able to get in higher education unlike affluent people. Richer people have sufficient money to study in the great school and pu- push pursue in higher education.